Hi, folks. Welcome back to another week of the Tiger Sports Show. I'm Greg Mays, and this is my co-host and intrepid correspondent, little brother Tren Mays. Tren, are you out at the ball game today?
Yeah, I'm at historic Duncan Field. It's actually pretty nice today, unlike Tuesday.
Tuesday was the Grand Island game, right?
Yeah, it was cold. So I'm going to swing around so I can put it down.
Yeah, there we go. We'll get back to that in a minute. But you got the ball game going. You got Hastings Tigers and what? The Omaha Skyhawks?
Yeah, the Skyhawks right? In town. They don't venture out west very much, but pretty decent crowd too.
Well, to come to Duncan Field, they're probably willing to do it. Well, last night things didn't go very well for the Tigers out in Beatrice. The Orangemen hung up a bunch of runs on them. But let's talk about that opener against Grand Island. You were out for that one?
Yeah, I was out there until the sixth inning. I have a rule about baseball. If I can see my breath, I go home. So it was, and that game took forever. Some fun stats in a minute.
How many innings did it take?
It took 13 innings.
Didn't it go extra?
Yeah, it took 13. So it was a long night. And we'll just say there were a lot of there were a lot of pitches thrown.
It finished with what? Elijah Johnson on the single, EJ, with a game-winning.
Tate should have the video for that if he cared to show it. I got that off Tiger's Drive. 6-5. Yep. Yeah. I'm not sure who got the win. They credited it to Spino, but it couldn't have been. But anyway, the Tigers threw a bunch of young kids and came up with some big hits. They got guys on, and like one of the reporters was tweeting with me, neither team wanted to lose in cold weather games. So it was an interesting night. There were 463 combined pitches thrown in that game.
So were there more pitches or more people in the stands?
There's a lot of people in the stands. It was a good crowd until it got dark. And then it was about sixth inning. It was probably pushing almost 8 o'clock. So it was cold.
All right. Well, I'm sure we're going to be talking about Grand Island and wins over Grand Island later when we get to our final segment. But what's going on with the Tigers and Omaha Scott? What inning are you in?
We're in the top of the second. Scott's a pretty tough team. They're batting against Nolan Hyde. If you're watching this a little later, you can come out. Probably the JV game is still going on. Tigers have 7 position players back, but they're trying to figure out their pitching. And Tuesday, they actually had some young kids throw some big innings. They started probably their stud, Dayton Espino. Eli Schneider's a sophomore, came in. He looks a little like Marcus Miller. He's wearing number 2. He's got that 6'12" curve that just drops off the planet. Then they threw a Haas kid and a Hoffman kid. So those kids, Hoffman threw 5 innings, and he had 5 strikeouts and just 2 hits. And he's a softie. It was a good night for them.
Well, baseball's about pitching. So we'll see how Coach Marquardt and the boys can come along that way. Had other things going on. Both soccer teams struggling to get off the schneid a little bit. Have you been over to the pitch to see the Tigers play yet? They've been home a couple times.
There's been baseball both those days. So,
all right, I'm gonna have to get over to soccer, but probably the best result. The Tiger boys took Norris to a shootout, lost it in the shootout. And then got beat by a Lexington team that's pretty salty, Tren. One of the best teams in the state, regardless of class, I think.
Most definitely. They've been a power for the last few years, making it to state. Soccer is one thing they excel at, Lex.
Yep. And they've got the girls' side up and going a little bit. Our girls took a loss to Norris and then took a loss to Lex. Tren, you know what the all-time series, Hastings versus Lex girls soccer is? All-time series record.
Have we lost?
We lost last year for the first time, and then we lost the other day. It is 25-2. Hastings had won 25 straight games, so it's actually kind of nice to see the Lex girls get up off the mat and have some success. I just hope it doesn't last too long at our expense. Both those teams are hosting Blair tomorrow. That's 2 out of the first 3 games. Blair and Norris, future Eastern Midland brothers of ours. As we get ready to head into that conference next year, you can tell Mrs. Douglas is working on the schedules already, bringing some of those EMC teams in. But those games are tomorrow, Tren. Weather's supposed to be pretty good tomorrow, isn't it?
No, supposed to start going downhill.
All right.
Talking upper 40s and possible snow Saturday night. So,
all right, well, get to the soccer game early. Get to the soccer game early and get one of those good parking spots. That's what I always had to do when Zoe was playing, is get there early and claim a parking spot. I'd move my car over there at lunch and walk back to the school. Yeah. All right. Also, we've had some tennis going on. Girls tennis had their first 2 duels. They played 2 different kinds of duels, Tren. We got the new system and the old system. I think it was the first match was out at Adams Central. We went out there and played the new system where you play 5 varsity matches, 3 doubles matches and 2 singles. And we lost that one 3-2. 3-2. Kira Erickson got a singles win. I can't remember who got the doubles win, but we ended up losing 3-2, but some very competitive matches. That's what I noticed looking at the scores that Coach sent me. Just much more competitive. And then we had Kearney Catholic in town, and we lost the old-fashioned duel where you play 6 singles matches and 3 doubles matches. We lost that one 6-3. Kearney Catholic took all 3 doubles matches, which cost us. But Kira Erickson won at number 1 singles. Lexi Benson won at number 3, and Bianca Trong won at number 4. And then I got to tell you, we had some close matches. 8-6 at number 5 signals. Ruby Shard had a chance. And then all the doubles matches. Ansbach and Benson lost at number 1, 8-6. Shart and Trong lost in a tiebreaker at number 2 doubles. And Erickson and Francis lost 8-4. So if anything, the girls just a lot more competitive. And of course, those names are really familiar. Those are the girls, for the most part, who were playing last year. Pretty much everybody back. It was pretty nice day for tennis today.
Yeah, it was. So why 2 different systems?
Well, I think Coach G likes the new system. It's more like state. It's more like your lineup for state. You got 2 singles players, and they play 3 doubles matches. Though I was confused last year. I thought state was going to 3. State still only has 2 doubles matches. But it's more like state, I think. And so it kind of depends. I'm sure the coaches just agree on how they're gonna play it. I don't know what's that give you? That gives you 8 varsity players in the new system. And under the old system, you probably only have 6 varsity players because you're playing girls are playing singles and doubles.
Yeah.
So you're getting some more girls, some varsity swings. All right. Well, what else? Anything else going on this spring we need to talk about?
Well, boys track's pretty off to a good start. They have a lot of numbers. They're taking 2 buses.
Well, not 2 buses today.
Oh, just 1.
They had a bus driver get sick. So Coach Jay and Coach Kruger had to drive Suburbans.
Oh.
That's late breaking news, Tren. Late breaking news.
You didn't know that.
Yeah. Mrs. Mays was working with Coach Johnson on picking social studies textbooks today. So she had the inside scoop. But they were headed to Kearney State. UNK's kind of having a little small Kearney, Hastings, Grand Island triangular over there.
That's good. They had that last week. They went over. We actually had a pole vaulter or a high jumper win.
Well, Nolan Studley, he went 6'7", Trenner.
Yeah.
6'7" is for real, buddy.
Yeah.
He can jump over you.
Yeah.
You could stand under the bar and he could jump over you. He would clear you by 6 inches at 6'7".
How tall do you think I am?
You would clear me by 3.5 inches.
God, You still think you're taller. That's probably the funniest thing you've said today.
Oh my. All right. Well, Studley's doing well. And then Carrera, the distance runner. Watch him too. The girls' track's over in Holdridge today. We haven't really seen any results. Had some young girls do well in the 400 plus the Beckby girl. And Hannah Satterley been doing well in sprints. I think she was third in the 100 today. Those Satterleys, they can fly, Trenner.
Oh, I coached the boy. I know he's fast, so.
All right. Well, I think we're ready for our history segment. Are you ready to declare a Mount Rushmore of Hastings Tiger rivals?
Oh, I'm pretty close.
Do you remember that Mount Rushmore only has 4 faces on it this week?
Yes.
Last week you kept
last week that we had to put an asterisk because you got somebody that's never lost in high school.
Well, that means she's up there. That's not a problem. There's still 3 spots left.
But you
got to make tough decisions.
Well, but that was an easy decision to just have 5.
All right.
So we do have a window today, so we could take comments from our viewer window. This is sort of rare.
Well, we could. What are you thinking? Who goes up on the rivalry at Mount Rushmore? All-time Hastings High opponents that you love to beat. Number 1, who do you want to beat?
Grand Island, of course. We were talking about that all week.
Yep. I was excited. I even put a GIF up on Twitter when we beat them in baseball, Trent. I never put GIFs up. GIFs, that's your thing, man.
And it's perfect with GI week, and we go 13 innings with them. Grand Island, if you're older than if you're old as dirt like we are, you remember the 80s and the early 90s when when kids cheered and went to games and the fun bunch.
And it had been going on forever.
Yeah,
you know,
it had been.
In the 70s, things got a little rocky. There was a little violence. I mean, when I was in school, they made the Grand Island fans come in through different doors than the Hastings fans. And one time when I was over in Grand Island, we had to wait after the game at mid-court for the principals to come get us. They walked us out to the bus, and then the police escorted us to the interstate.
Wait a minute. So the story has changed. I thought the police had lines waiting for you. They made 2 lines for you to go out. That's not true?
It was the principals who walked us to the bus, I think.
Oh, okay.
But I talked to a Grand Island High grad this week who told me stories about mooning the Hastings buses in like 88.
Oh, it's definitely our Aunt Marilyn who watches the show. She was driving to the game. There was a whole bunch of GI kids. They were running over to go after the Hastings bus. Now, I talked to some yearbook kids. I was yearbook sponsor last Friday. So, Doc.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Doc had to step out across the hall. So I'm going to put that on my resume. They could not believe that we had police escorts into Grand Isle. They would pick us up at Stewart Museum, lights and everything. They drove us in. And then the famous game, the year after you graduate, we had the famous Tigerette dance. There was the M80 that got cut off. And a little
bit of salty language. Yeah.
Yeah. And the funny part is they played the song when I come to the first Hastings High game this year. And I thought, legitimately, that might be the first time that song's been played in the gym since 1987.
They played it? They played Money?
Yeah, they played it. And then I tweeted that out. I'm like, I think that might have been the first.
Out.
What?
I hope you didn't yell anything out.
I didn't yell anything out, but it brought back times. We also got mooned a few times. Our Aunt Marilyn and mother saw the front side of the moon. I was lucky to see the back side of the moon when we played in the old GI gym. So Grand Island has to be on that list.
All right. And that rivalry goes all the way back. I mean, in the 20s, the 2 teams stopped playing for about 4 or 5 years because things had gotten so heated. And the 2 student councils actually met at the Platte River to literally bury a hatchet. So yeah, I don't miss any of the bad parts, but I miss the fire of those Grand Island rivalries. All right. Grand Island's up. We got 1 face on Mount Rushmore, and it's purple and gold. Who else is going up, Trenner?
It has to be Kearney High.
really the number one rival in the 90s,
Yeah,
90s
they
and early
took over.
2000s.
Yep, they took over GI spot in a way. We have the playoff game, 93 in both games in 1993 state title. The second one we play at UNK or Kearney State. Our kids rushed the field to celebrate. And, well, thing happened there, but and then our famous incident at the gas station when we were in your little Chevette when we watched probably late 90s Chick and the Boys. We were in the Chevette. Ann was in the your wife was in the car. We went inside and they tried to pick the fight with you.
Really? I don't remember that one at all.
And Ann locked all the locks at the same time.
There was kind of a combination of factors there. I mean, they had a great group of kids right when we had a great group of kids. Yeah. You know, they butted heads in football and basketball and other sports for several years. And then you got to have the Coach Sajovic add in, you know, that he was an old Kearney High guy over coaching us. And I think that made it take on a little extra. All right, so you're putting Kearney High up in the second.
You can't forget Coach Johnson, Coach Dave. Yep. Coach Jay was, and I had a lot of grief because they were also Kearney State grads.
Yes, indeed. All right, well, we won't sully this show with Loper talk. All right. Hey, by the way, did you hear who's going into the Hastings College Hall of Fame for the second time? Two-time Hall of Famer? That should be our trivia. Who's in the Hastings College Hall of Fame?
Not you.
Twice.
But what
I
did
sat
you
the bench on a couple really good teams.
Yeah.
I was the key at practice, Fred. I was the key. I was the one who made practice what it was. Yeah. I was the engine. They'll probably have me speak. You watch. All right. Okay, we got two rivals up, Tren. Now it starts to get tough. Who's going up as the number 3 rival, Hastings High all time?
Has to be Grand Island Northwest. Hands down.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Well, who are you putting in the 4th spot?
The 4th spot?
I mean, Grand Island Northwest, really?
Well, but that's the Class B factor.
Yeah, and they're close.
There's our AD.
Douglas Live.
Yeah, he's doubting my GI Northwest pick for Mount Rushmore. Sorry, I don't know.
Right. Who else are you putting up there? Because I don't have Northwest up there.
Are they all Class A?
You want to know who my 3rd one is?
I don't. Yeah, shoot it.
No,
go for it.
No. In fact, I'm going with the little school out west.
Scotts Bluff? Oh, you're going to McCook.
They used to be the Juniata Dragons, and now they're the Adams Central Patriots.
Oh, no.
I think you got to put them up there. Oh, yeah, the kids love those games, Tren.
No.
You don't like to win those games, Tren? You don't like to win those games?
No. You can have them.
Yep, you got to put them up there.
Yeah.
You got to.
There was the great first game when we first played them. You had all 3 student sections. You had the St. Cecilia kids tried to get the Hastings High kids to cheer with them. And then they changed it on them. And then, of course, our kids booed. And there was a lot of people those first couple games.
Those games are a lot of fun. Well, there have been a lot of people every year.
I know.
Every year. I had to basically park in a ditch one year when we played football with them out there.
What?
I had to park in a ditch one year when we played football out there.
Well, yeah, but when we go play basketball out there, it's not much fun. But we did have the Coach Drew's 2-0 though.
Yeah, that's good. That was a big win this year. And you can't tell me that wasn't an exciting win, Tren. They got to go up there.
Yeah,
over the last 15 years.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. But not over GI Northwest.
Yeah, over GI Northwest. If you're going to go with little schools, it's got to be the hometown one.
But you're talking softball. You're talking football. You're talking basketball. You're talking soccer.
Well, who was going to be your 4th? Well, Northwest just barely started playing soccer.
My fourth.
All right. Who was your fourth going to be?
I had a write-in candidate from the wrestling coaches because they sought some advice. They like their biggest rival is Columbus.
Yeah, and that's always been a wrestling rival because that's a tough town, Tren. That's a town that works at the factory.
But
you know what I
think
mean?
GR Northwest needs to go
wrestle.
on. I think it's Adams Central, it's Grand Island, it's Kearney, it's GR Northwest. Those are my four.
Okay, another argument for Columbus. I don't have them in my four, but another argument. I believe the Hastings Columbus boys basketball series is the longest uninterrupted series in school history.
Wow.
Grand Island's been interrupted.
Yeah.
Norfolk finally gave up on us.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's the longest. And Kearney we didn't always play Kearney. You know, back before us, Kearney wasn't always on the schedule because they were on the west side of the Big Ten, so you didn't have to play them. So, I mean, that's an argument for Columbus, but they're not my other school. My other school doesn't come from the old Big Ten. It comes from the old Mid-East and Trans-Nebraska. Lincoln Northeast Rockets.
I had Northeast on there, but
The
I
Lincoln Northeast Rockets. That game was always big.
Yeah.
Those two teams, we played a long series both in football and basketball with them. And to me, Northeast was always the Lincoln school that seemed the most like us. The other Lincoln schools were kind of foreign. Lincoln East was the suburbs. Southeast was weird. Lincoln High was old and down in the city. It was a city school. Northeast always seemed like us. So I would put Northeast up there as the number 4.
Okay. Favorite Northeast story. I think it was them. We go to the game at Seacrest. We got on the field. Purgie's the coach. Purgie gets so mad at the referee because we're just getting hose job city. He's literally, we're talking.
This is Coach John Purgie, football coach 1985 to 1988 before Coach Olson. Okay, go ahead.
He is so mad. Miss Douglas is probably going to start laughing at me. So he is
Straight
so
out
mad.
Of Chicago.
He's probably 5'5", would you say, at the most?
Maybe.
So he's 5'5", and he is literally full sprint going on the field to go after that ref. Coach Sajovic, who was defensive coach at the time for varsity before he stepped down in the 90s or the late when Olson got there, he is literally grabbing him by his belt loop and dragging him off the field. So that's my favorite. And then the game with number 1 versus number 1, you and I are up in the balcony. We were down.
Basketball, 1997. Northeast is in the middle of 4 straight Class A state championships.
The pink stain. We can agree on that.
Yep.
And so luckily the general, what?
Coach Clara's sweater, the pink sweater. He did not have it on that night. That was only
I call it the pink stain. So, and then we come dramatic comeback. Luckily, those Northeast fans in front of us survived because we were going nuts up in the balcony and we almost fell down and probably would have took out half the bleachers. But I am voting for the Northwest for one reason. Those 2 playoff games that we had just 2 years ago. Oh, see, he already made it. See how they did it. They don't like me.
He's got Northwest up there.
Oh, good, he did. So the 2 playoff games back to back. We just lost to Aurora. Nobody gave him a shot. And it's in the COVID year.
Oh, there it is.
What? Oh, there's
now
Greg.
It's changed.
God, they always try to embarrass me. So my point is those 2 playoff games. See, then you put my baseball picture up there. God, would you just? Why not? There it is again, Tracy. Just look. He wants you to see it. Yay! So anyway, those 2 playoff games. Nobody gave. They lose. We get drilled by Aurora. I wasn't sure what was going on. We go to GR Northwest. That was the game we won big. And then, of course, the Tiger victory cannon goes off at the end when Cynic put the team on his back, and we won like 45-42. that's why they go up on my list. And then the basketball games in the late 90s, the district games.
They've been good. That football game is the biggest win in the last 10 years at Hastings High off the wrestling and softball fields, right? Yeah.
Well,
okay.
Then you throw softball in.
Yep.
Then you throw
All
the
right.
softball games.
All right.
So
I think
want
you might have an argument.
Yeah. So I want the last point. Our producer Tate has a great basketball pool. Here comes another embarrassing picture. If Douglas want to see that one. That was when I had
That's you, coach.
So yeah, let's put me back on so I can explain this. So I am playing Tate's youth football team. I have a legitimately headache, and maybe because he's beating me 52-0. But it was
legit. Can't put the Chargers on the Mount Rushmore.
No, we don't. So I want to point out that Tate has a little basketball pool on ESPN called the IB Trend Pool. And he thinks it's a big thing. You don't have to worry about finishing last because Trent will finish last.
Oh, I'm sorry, Trent.
So I want the people to know that I am in first place. I'm not going to say my team name because it's not appropriate for YouTube.
All right, Trent.
I'm in first place.
Trent, you got last word. We got to finish this show.
Go Tigers. So you know when the game is? Just wait. We're going to get breaking news. So the game Tuesday get moved
to Monday.
So the breaking news from Mrs. Douglas, and that's against who?
I was coming here to tell you that.
Oh.
Central City.
We're playing Central City on Monday at Duncan instead of Tuesday. So that's the next home game.
Are they still the Colonels? Are they still co-op?
Yeah, they are the Colonels. They're really good. So that game has been moved to Monday, and hopefully it'll be a little nicer.
All right, get to Duncan Field, folks. Last word, Trent.
Go Tigers, and I win.
Go Tigers.